Starting in September 2020, Year 11 students on ZM at Moser will be starting a new course designed to introduce them to the world of the International Baccalaureate, or IB. The course is all about the theory of knowledge, or epistemology to give it its technical term, and is based around a series of questions that encourage us to examine how we claim to know what we know. The course will be in English, in small groups taught by me, and will draw upon the approaches to learning that are central to the IB. Now, this will be an opportunity to stop and to think and discuss, in English, profoundly important questions about how we think and know. There will be no control, no épreuve, no tests, no exams, and as I said, it's just an opportunity to stop and to think. At the end of the course, we hope that some students will opt to take up the challenge of Moser School's unique double diploma that will combine the International Baccalaureate with the Swiss maturity. And this is all due to begin in September 2021. In this first semester, we'll be examining questions about knowledge itself, how it is made, how it is acquired, shared and used, what it is and what it is not, who has it, who has not, and who decides the answers to these questions. I mean, for example, why do our maps of the world look like this and not this? What does it mean when I say I know how to play the guitar? Is it different to when I say I know how to speak English, or to know English, or to know the English? And why are the French subtitles so hard to write for this? Which brings me to the first of our four ways of knowing: language. Can we know something without using words? Or on the other hand, to what extent do words limit what we can know? Now, English doesn't have many words for snow. There's snow and sleet. You know, I don't ski, so I haven't got a clue. But here's a few words for snow from the Inuit language spoken in the Arctic. Now, if you really want to know snow, you need words to describe it. So does being bilingual make you more knowledgeable? Perhaps. I mean, how often have you used a word from the wrong language because it expresses what you want to say better than the language you were using? Et voilà. Now, the second way of knowing we'll look at is sense perception. You have 5 senses. Now, everything you know about the world comes from the sensors that send electrical signals to your brain from your eyes, your ears, your hands, your nose and your mouth. Now, are those senses reliable? Can you trust them? How do you know you're not just hooked up to a virtual reality game, or perhaps the only star of a reality TV show like Truman Burbank? So if we can't trust our senses, maybe we should just trust the brain they're connected to. Which brings us to our third way of knowing: reason. When we use reason, we know something because we use a logical method to prove that what we know is true. I mean, for example, how do you know this isn't a film of Lake Lemon that I shot this afternoon? Now, you might say it doesn't look like Lake Lemon. You might say it looks suspiciously like the world's first blockbuster movie, Jaws, which was made in 1975. But rather than use this limited sense perception, you could apply reason. Lake Lemon is a freshwater lake. Great white sharks can't live in fresh water, therefore it cannot be Lake Lemon. Unless what we saw was a bull shark rather than a great white, because in fact, you know, in the Zambezi and Lake Nicaragua, there are plenty of bull sharks. The final way of knowing to be examined is emotion.
Gentlemen, by coming after me, you may well have destroyed what slim chance you had for your survival. The logical thing for you to have done was to have left me behind.
Mr. Spock, remind me to tell you that I'm sick and tired of your logic.
That is a most illogical attitude.
Now, like Mr. Spock, we have traditionally treated emotion as something that has to be removed if we are to really know something. But not anymore. Soft skills, the intrapersonal awareness of what is called emotional intelligence, is a form of knowledge that is increasingly valued. Also, recent work in neuroscience has shown that emotion plays a central role in helping us to make apparently rational decisions. It's why purely rational computers have been able to beat chess grandmasters since the 1990s, but still haven't quite mastered poker.
I'm gonna check, Daddy. That's right.
At least, not yet. In the second semester, we'll be looking into the areas of knowledge. According to the International Baccalaureate, there are 5 areas of knowledge that we need to be concerned with. The natural sciences, social science, arts, history, and lastly, maths. If you already know one example of epistemology, it's probably the one you've been using in the natural sciences, chemistry, biology, physics, etc. It's what we call the scientific method. Now, we observe the world, we question, we pose a hypothesis, we conduct an experiment, we analyze the results and reach a conclusion, the scientific method. Now, the great thing about the scientific method is that we can see that it works. It has given us the steam engine, space travel, and vaccines against pandemics. In fact, for many people, the scientific method is the only way to really know something for certain. For example, it is altogether possible to scientifically compare the poetry of Byron with that of Shakespeare and to draw a graph of the results.
Score high both horizontally and vertically, yielding a massive total area.
But in the words of the late, great Robin Williams,
excrement. We're not laying pipe. We're talking about poetry. I mean, how can you describe poetry like American Bandstand? Well, I like Byron. I give him a 42, but I can't dance to him.
Human science is our second area of knowledge and includes subjects like sociology, economics, and psychology. Human science is concerned with how we can study human beings in a scientific way. Now, the problem is that humans are difficult to measure. Plants don't change their behavior because they're being watched, nor do they respond differently to stimuli depending on how they feel. Although one advantage of human science is that, unlike plants, humans can answer questions.
You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me?
Although there would be significant ethical and legal issues to be addressed if no one had told Robert De Niro he would be filmed talking to himself. Which brings us on to the arts. Consider this. Rabbit is a 1986 stainless steel sculpture by Jeff Koons. Is it art? If it is art, is it any good? And what can we know for certain about it? Well, we know that in May 2019, it became the most expensive work sold by a living artist at auction.
At 80 million. You have it, sir. $80 million.
Who decides what is art? Can it be wrong to like a particular piece of art? What makes some art better than others? Why is high art, for example, Mozart, considered to be better or more important than this? Which happens to be the most played piece of music ever on YouTube. Epistemologically, what does it mean to know art? As has been said many times, talking about music is like dancing about architecture. Is it even possible to convey or translate the effect of art on the person experiencing it? So the fourth area of knowledge is history. And I'm a history teacher, so this pains me to say, but in terms of the theory of knowledge, history is the basket case of academic subjects, because unlike scientists and even human scientists, historians cannot observe and test their subject. In the absence of time travel, historians are unable to examine the evidence at first hand. For example, I can't go back to the summer of 1914 to suggest that Archduke Franz Ferdinand might like to duck, just to see if this might have prevented the First World War. And unlike artists, historians cannot freely use their imaginations because they are bound by the boring facts of what actually happened. It's not surprising then that historians seek to overcome this epistemological fragility by largely ignoring it. Our fifth and final area of knowledge is maths. Maths is special. More maths is taught in more lessons in more schools around the world than any other subject. And yet, paradoxically, today, more than ever with mobile technology, the amount of actual maths used by the adult population on a daily basis is probably less than at any time in human history. In brief, maths is special because it looks the other way. Unlike the other four areas of knowledge, it doesn't depend on sense perception, on interpreting the outside world. It ignores it. Maths can be expressed through the senses. For example, this beautiful Islamic art is clearly mathematical. The art is a physical expression of the maths. But the truth of the patterns as numbers, as shapes and as angles exist anyway. Maths doesn't need the senses to be understood. It doesn't need a real world to make sense of. A mathematician only needs a brain. Okay, so that is the introductory course for Year 11 Theory of Knowledge. If you have any further questions about this course or about the IB or indeed the double diploma, you can contact me here at this address. Now, Einstein once asked, what is common sense? Well, common sense, he said, consists of those layers of prejudice laid down before the age of 18. So let's get started before it's too late. Thanks.